Bob from Go Wags Baseball Training Center, and this video is going to have 5 core exercises for baseball players. And a lot of the core work for baseball players should come in the form of loaded unilateral movements. Okay, and what I mean by loaded unilateral movements is when you push-pull with one arm at a time, with one leg at a time, right? Split squats, lunge walks, push and pull with one leg at a time. It takes a lot of stability demand in the rotational movements, transverse plane stability, frontal plane stability. If you have that as part of your programming, unilateral leg movements, unilateral upper body movements, you have a ton of core stability and demand involved with that. That is core training. That counts for core training. Okay, keeping your spine neutral while you do a single leg hip hinge, even while you deadlift in a traditional form, some variation of deadlift, hex bar, traditional barbell deadlift, whatever it is with your squats. Everything you should be thinking about your scapula position, thoracic spine, lower back. That is good core training. Okay, this is the easier stuff. This is accessory work. This should be almost like fun. And with some of it, you can be powerful and quick. With some of it, you want to go slower and execute good control. So with that, let's get into it. Top 5. All right. The number one thing I like is this idea of using your abs to control a fallout. You usually start on your knees with this. There are a number of different ways you can do it. It's like doing the ab wheel, if you know what the ab wheel is, right? Handles here. And if you watch at a gym or really anywhere, very few people can do the ab wheel very well, right? So with the ball here, I'm going to fall into it and not arch my back, but also not round my back, right? Something like that, okay? And not this, okay? Not that, and then don't collapse into it and arch your back, not this either, okay? So you want to just try to think about using your abs and your lower back muscles to keep this in a straight line. Fall into it somewhere in here and pull back, right? And if that's hard, you can cut your range of motion back, just do a little one. There are a number of variations. If you see the ab wheel that's all the way down here, you will not see many people that can do that very well with the proper control. So that's a great variation, right? We don't work our abs with more crunches, and a limited amount of crunches are okay, but I'm just not impressed by the person who says, okay, I can do 500 crunches every night. Like most of us don't need to pull our rib cage further towards our pelvis. We do that all day when we sit at work and school, etc., in front of the computer. So fallouts, that's a good one. Number 2, this idea, this goes by a number of different names, but we'll call it the Russian twist. That's one thing I've heard it called. And same way, technique is important, okay? So this is not a balance exercise. Like, don't try to balance on your butt. Okay, it's not supposed to be for balance. What it is supposed to be for is rotational stability of your obliques and your abdominals. So an easy variation of this is if I sit right here and just do a little tap, but good control, okay? The idea is that I'm not rotating this, but I am rotating this, okay? So here, right? And if you see this at a lot of gyms, you'll see just sort of sloppiness and craziness, okay? That's not good control, all right? And to progress this movement, right, if you sit back more, my heels are down, my butt's down, but that's harder, right? If I sit back more, and I still have to keep my spine neutral, and even harder yet is if I have to use a long lever. So instead of here, I'm going here, right? That's hard to control. And if you can do 5 of those good on each side, more power to you. But 5 good ones on each side beats 100 just throwing it. So good control with that. Make it harder by leaning back further. Make it harder by using a longer lever arm and a little bit of weight. A little extra weight's good. So that's number 2, right? Number 3, we'll go to the tubing here. Another one you see done incorrectly quite often. If I'm going to pull this into rotation, but try not to move your hips. This should not be a hip swivel. There's definitely a time for that for baseball players. Not now if you're aiming to load your core and go with a long lever, pull across. Okay? So again, my upper half's moving, my lower half is not moving. Right? There's good controlled mobility involved with that. And again, for most athletes, it's highly individual, but a lot of athletes live in the anterior pelvic tilt. They'll arch their back a lot. Some athletes have poor scapula position. They'll go into it this way, right? So you want to establish good position here, and neutral from your butt to your head, and rotation of the arms. Okay? And if that's hard or you have pain, then just practice this as an isometric hold. Right? That's hard. It wants to twist me this way, right? But I'm just keeping it there for a 5 count. Hold in. Okay? So that was 3. Number 4, let's talk about MedBall throws. MedBall throws are total body work. Definitely involve the hips, legs. They're great for baseball players. This is key for baseball players because you're using the ground to generate power all the way through your hands. There's no deceleration. But it's the same way. Pay attention to some of the cues where if I do a scoop toss, then I'm loading this right hip and I'm really getting pressure off the floor, generating force off the floor, and work on efficient transfer of that force off the floor, off my right leg, block on the left leg, and that impulse goes through my hips, core, shoulders, out my hands. Okay? So intent is everything too. You don't want to do these like you're just trying to survive, like 30 reps wall ball, 30 reps this, 30 reps that. If you do 6 to 8 full blast, that's enough. And usually do these both sides just to practice, practice on your off side too. But scoop toss looks something like this, right? And then shot put toss, right? I like this one a lot. Neutral spine position, again, I'm rotating while my hips stay this way, okay? Shot put toss, okay? Shot put toss. I like this wall ball exercise, but you can practice really explosive out of your, pushing up and out. That's still a good one, but again, full power, like maximal effort. You're not just trying to survive for a workout. You're trying to actually train with purpose. So med ball tosses, another good one. There's plenty more to be said on that, but in the interest of brevity, we'll leave it at that for now. And the last thing, loaded carries. Awesome for conditioning, awesome for core work. Okay? So sometimes just the farmer's walk, we talk about doing deliberate steps. Right? So if I carry 50 pounds in each hand and up and up and up, 50 pounds is a good start for a lot of like middle, like intermediate strength athletes. Of course, younger people start a lot lighter. But the idea is good control. Right? When I have this extra load and I take a big step, I'm not really lunging, but if I take a deliberate step, we call it, like big step, and as you're carrying that, you try not to get twisty. You try not to take these little steps. Single leg stance time. That's a loaded carry. They're awesome for baseball players and conditioning. They're hard. It's a great effort, a great finisher at the end of your workout. Sometimes you could do them unilateral. That's even harder. It's a little less conditioning, but it's definitely harder in that frontal plane stability, right? It wants to pull me over, but I'm going to try to just stay stable and walk with it. Okay? That's definitely a great core builder, right? If I walk in that fashion, holding one arm, right? Lastly, for loaded carries, right? If I just hold this up and walk with it, okay? Now, there's a lot of shoulder stability involved with that. That's more upper body than lower body. But again, get off the ab machines. Those are the kind of things that make you build good core control. I think that'll do it for now. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.